Back in 2019, Maltese special forces launched a dramatic operation storming a tanker that had been seized by migrants. Just a short time before this incident, the ship's crew was able to get to Malta, and the ship's crew had heroically rescued over 100 people who were in distress off the coast of Libya. The original plan was for those rescued to be taken back to Tripoli, but the Libyan authorities, it turned out, had other ideas and different plans for them.
They were absolutely determined to immigrate to Europe no matter what it took. So in a shocking turn of events, the rescued migrants made the desperate decision to seize control of the merchant ship, holding the crew that had so selflessly helped them as collateral.
The migrants issued orders to the crew, demanding they set a course for either the Italian island of Lampedusa or perhaps Malta. Ultimately, they made landfall on the Maltese coast, though under the watchful escort of local security forces. Upon learning of this serious incident, the island nation's authorities swiftly dispatched a boat carrying special forces personnel. These forces intercepted the tanker, boarded it without hesitation, and successfully regained control of the vessel. The migrants were then disembarked in the port of Valletta and promptly handed over to the waiting police. Malta is indeed a small but fascinating country located in the middle of the Mediterranean. It is located right in the heart of the Mediterranean Sea, home to just around 500,000 residents. Back in the 80s, the government made a significant decision and adopted a declaration of neutrality. According to this important document, Malta firmly refuses to join any military bloc or alliance. Nevertheless, it maintains its own army and navy, ready to defend against both external and internal threats. Interestingly, a century ago, the islanders themselves had a reputation for attacking passing ships, and for a long time it served as the base for the militant Knights of Malta. Towards the end of the 11th century, Italian Catholics established St. John's Hospital in Jerusalem. Within its walls, monks dedicated themselves to caring for the poor, the sick, and the wounded pilgrims who journeyed to the Holy Land. This act of compassion marked the humble beginnings of what would become the esteemed Order of Malta. Following the Crusaders' capture of Jerusalem in 1099, the monks recognized an even greater calling. Simply aiding pilgrims was no longer sufficient. They felt compelled to defend the Holy Land itself. And so, the Brothers Hospitallers evolved into a religious military order committed to protecting both the faithful and the sacred sites from any threat.
The order's functions expanded dramatically. They went far beyond simply protecting pilgrims and holy sites. They also sought to establish significant political control in the Holy Land and engage in conflicts with the Muslims who were there.
For a time, these Knights Hospitaller, also known as the Knights of St. John, controlled 7 fortresses and around 140 settlements scattered throughout the Kingdom of Jerusalem. However, as the late 13th century approached, these warrior monks were ultimately forced to leave the region. Then, in 1291, the Crusader states finally and irrevocably fell after the Egyptian Mamluks successfully captured Acre, their last remaining stronghold in the Holy Land. On the strategic island of Rhodes, a crucial crossroads between the Aegean and Mediterranean seas, the Hospitallers, boasted by Genoese mercenaries, launched a daring campaign and seized it from the Byzantine Empire. From that pivotal moment onward, they became widely known as the Knights of Rhodes, a name that echoed their newfound dominion. Upon this captured island, within the bustling city of Rhodes itself, they embarked on an ambitious construction project, erecting an impregnable fortress which housed the opulent residence of the Grand Master.
Well, saying they built it isn't quite accurate. What they really did was take existing Byzantine structures, reinforce them significantly, and expand upon them. If you visit Rhodes, you can clearly see the distinct layers of different eras, where the original Byzantine foundation was carefully laid and where the Hospitallers later built their imposing military structures on top.
The Hospitallers were constantly engaged in battles against the North African pirates who threatened the seas. In addition to these conflicts, there were numerous attempts to dislodge the Knights from their stronghold on the island. Initially, the formidable army of the Egyptian Sultan Az-Zahir Jekmak launched a major attack on Rhodes in 1444, but the Knights valiantly repelled them. 36 years later, another powerful enemy emerged on the horizon, the Ottoman ruler Mehmed II. However, he also failed to defeat the Hospitallers. It wasn't until 1522 that the Turks finally managed to drive the Knights off the island after a long and arduous siege.
Suleiman the Magnificent seized the fortress, taking control of the island. Thankfully, the Hospitallers received honorable surrender terms from Suleiman and they left the island unharmed.
watch. Fortunately, the Hospitallers didn't wander long. In 1530, Charles V of Spain generously offered the Knights a new home, the beautiful island of Malta in the heart of the Mediterranean. By now, the Hospitallers had a formidable fleet, a testament to their power. The Knights sailed to Malta on 50 galleys and 2 carracks, massive ships that were the pride of their navy. Once settled, they built a robust defense system to protect the island. They also improved and expanded their fleet in Malta. By the early 17th century, their dedication led them to remarkable success at sea.
Their fleet was the most advanced naval force around, built right here on Malta, using resources from all over. The wood for their ships was carefully sourced from as far away as Sweden. Only the best wood and highest quality supplies were good enough.
The Knights Hospitallers fleet was a formidable force, actively hunting down African corsairs and Ottoman ships throughout the Mediterranean. In essence, the Hospitallers engaged in a form of state-sponsored piracy, plundering Muslim ships to amass wealth and liberate Christian prisoners they found aboard. However, it's important to note that Muslim crew members were often enslaved, a dark side to their operations.
Noble prisoners, they could be ransomed back to their families for a hefty sum of money, you see, while the fate of the rest of the captured people, well, most likely involved them working as free labor, unfortunately on those very galleys for quite a long while, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately, the 18th century wasn't kind to the Hospitallers. The esteemed Order of Malta slowly declined in power and influence as the Knights found themselves without reliable income. Oddly enough, one reason for this decline was the weakening of their main adversary, the once powerful Ottoman Empire. Napoleon Bonaparte put an end to the Hospitallers' military history. In 1798, the French general landed on Malta and seized the island. The Hospitallers simply surrendered because the order's charter forbade them from fighting Christians. The homeless knights were given refuge by the Russian Emperor Paul the Sir. He gave them shelter in St. Petersburg and became the Grand Master of the Order of Malta, an unprecedented situation. An Orthodox ruler headed a Catholic brotherhood.
However, this account was largely fiction, a spun for political gain. While styled as a de facto Grand Master, he never officially took office or held real power. Nevertheless, until 1801, the Russian Emperor was widely considered the head of the Maltese Order, wielding influence. But upon ascending the throne, Alexander I formally renounced this title, severing ties with the order.
Well, Alexander, I wasn't particularly fond of the Catholic Knights, which led to him compelling them to leave the Russian Empire altogether. As a result, they relocated to Italy and eventually settled in Rome. Presently, the Order of Malta boasts a membership of approximately 14,000 permanent members, and it has successfully returned to its original traditions and principles. Working in conjunction with the Vatican, they dedicate their efforts to charitable endeavors, with a strong emphasis on providing medical and humanitarian aid to those in need.